Clearly, the talk of the town surrounding Formula One at the moment is dictated by off-track matters, with controversies aplenty both in and out of the paddock and even at the very top of the governing body. All of this drama is getting a bit tiresome and drawing attention away from what really matters: the sport. Teams, their cars and the drivers are still finding their feet at the start of the new season, and while yes, it seems there's an exaggerated favourite after the first round, it'd be a fool who would shut the door on the rest of the season before it's even begun. Never is this more true than in a year where everyone will be positioning themselves for 2024 Part 2, as the teams turn their focus onto the new regulations throughout 2025. So just what is it that has some of the teams so afraid of McLaren and Mercedes? Already written off to be lame ducks following a technical error-laden first round for one and a historic blank spot of a track for the other, it seems that the season may explode into life not at the inaugural race of the season, but the ones closely following it. The question is, who will strike back the strongest? Want to know why Mercedes may be about to shock the paddock? It was a forgettable first weekend, but all signs point towards it being an anomaly. And stick around, because some of the drivers on the grid are absolutely terrified of McLaren, with some teams wanting to emulate their success. So Mercedes got off to a start that was less than ideal, with the new package throwing up some pretty major gremlins, it's fair to say. The cooling packages that were debuted at the Bahrain Grand Prix proved to be an aspect of the cars that was yet to be fully understood, with overheating causing issues for both drivers in regards to their engines and batteries. It was something that, as the race went on, Mercedes clearly got to grips with both drivers maintaining half-decent points positions after seemingly being under threat of plummeting due to the issues early on in the race, especially seen with Lewis Hamilton's issues. The team now look to the future with a far greater understanding of the development's needs in an eagerness to take positives away from every race, whether that's through continued R&D or higher points positions. Furthermore, the team confirmed that the general foundations of the car were far better suited to their drivers, with both reporting a far more stable platform, with the rear-end issues seen last year being next to non-existent. Team boss Toto Wolff would emphasize how middling of a weekend Mercedes had, with perhaps the most frustration being with the potential at what could have been with the car, as their potential performance ceiling was far higher than what they actually achieved, leading to the hope that the race weekends to come will be far stronger of a showing for the Brackley outfit. Toto Wolff had this to say following the race: "Our race in Bahrain was best described as underwhelming. We were hopeful of a stronger showing after our performance in practice and qualifying. Both drivers were pleased with the balance early on in the weekend and the more stable platform provided by the W15. Unfortunately, on Saturday evening, our cooling performance didn't match our predictions. That forced us into management mode early on, which had a knock-on impact of reducing tire temperatures below optimum. That cost us the opportunity to show something closer to our true potential. It was a frustrating way to start the season, but one we will learn from." As well as the hopes of better performance moving forward, Wolff also indicated the restrictive nature of testing and the first race being held on the same track, perhaps limited by the amount of learning that could be done for the direction of the car, a criticism that has often been leveled at Bahrain as a testing location, as early tracks on the calendar like Jeddah and Melbourne hold little resemblance to the season opener. Wolff continued, "We've got an opportunity to take a step forward immediately. Jeddah is a street track with a lot of high-speed content. It will be good to continue our learning with the car on a very different circuit to Bahrain. We will be aiming for a more consistent weekend to understand our true performance relative to the rest of the grid." While yes, Jeddah will often throw up different ways of learning about the car, that also means it will bring up more potential issues. And if the W15's temperature problems were anything other than a mere setup issue, then that will quickly be highlighted at the Jeddah Corniche circuit, which is expected to be far warmer than the strangely cold opening race weekend. The other team with great expectations of the second round is McLaren, with teams around the paddock seemingly in agreement that we have not seen the best of the Woking team yet, not even close. This all stems from it being a well-known fact that McLaren have a key fatal flaw, with the first circuit on the calendar proving to be a weak point for them year after year, with that flaw being performance in slow corners. As we said before, Bahrain is a bit of an anomaly circuit on the calendar, with it being particularly brutal on tyres and necessitating a lot of harsh braking into slower corners at multiple points on the circuit. Carlos Sainz made his concerns about McLaren clear in an interview following the first race, where he said, "I expect that cars like the McLaren, last year they were very good in high-speed circuits, to be competitive there, but you know, our car has also improved in high speed, so hopefully we can also be stronger." So while teams may be hoping that they have done enough to maintain a lead over McLaren in their areas of strength, it really won't become clear until this coming weekend. Lando Norris made his anticipation for the coming weekend clear, while also highlighting that the car is a substantial departure from last year's car in multiple areas, as Norris had this to say in anticipation for the upcoming weekend. It's a bit more high speed, bit more medium speed, which normally suits us. There's still things we're going to struggle with a lot. It's also a track which maybe should suit us a bit more, so excited for it. Plenty of things for us to learn, because it's so different this car than what we had last year. More challenges, more question marks, but on the whole, I'm hoping it suits a little more. As well as this, Norris indicated that they already felt a vast improvement on a track in which they are historically weak. Then the fact that they kept up with the Mercedes and were keeping close tabs on the trailing Ferrari is a good and ominous sign for the rest of the grid, as he would later go on to say, "But considering it's a track we struggle with still, the fact we're so close to Mercedes is still a good sign for us that at some tracks we'll be able to be ahead. I'm confident the team is doing a good job and it's a good starting position. We were close to Mercedes, I don't think we had any advantage over them. The pace was so similar that, as soon as I got into the dirty air, I didn't have enough of an advantage to have a chance to overtake or even get within DRS. Well, perhaps that dirty air was somewhat exaggerated too, as Mercedes' front aero continues to come under scrutiny due to its possible hard-to-follow effects on the car behind them. McLaren may prove to finally get on top of that low speed issue in a similar way to their drastic upgrade program last year, as it seems their aero team, who were responsible for the vast overhaul, now has its sights set on the low speed range after conquering the medium speed hindrances over the winter break. According to Andrea Stella, McLaren's upgrades last year as well as over the winter have amounted to 1.8 seconds in performance, a difference equivocal to the fastest times of P1 to P20 at this year's Bahrain Grand Prix in qualifying, which on its own is already a staggering achievement. We did a speed overlay of qualifying in 2023 and qualifying in 2024. We went 1.8 seconds faster and we improved at every speed, Stella said. Even in low speed we were faster because we added downforce overall, but most of the downforce was added in the medium range. So the low speed still deserves some specific work, and that is what in particular the aerodynamic group are working on. With Red Bull claiming that the advantage that they had on the rest of the field was vastly exaggerated in the opening weekend, something perhaps reinforced by the paddock's combined belief of a stronger Mercedes and McLaren appearing as early as the coming weekend, it seems the outlay of the grid could change quite significantly as the season continues to develop. For those of you that want to live on websites skimming for drama, you do you. The rest of us, however, will be looking forward to a season full of twists and developments of their own, which don't rely on a Spice Girl to grab the headlines. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Who will take the bigger leap this weekend, McLaren or Mercedes? And will Ferrari and Red Bull be able to maintain their advantage? Or are we in for a four-way brawl that will ignite the season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching.